So it's been an interesting couple of weeks for the guys in the quant community. Obviously, we had the run-up recently, the last couple of weeks. I think price rose from around under $10 to, I believe it topped out around 16.5. So we broke all-time high, which was amazing. And that was prior to the Real Vision interview that Gilbert Verdian did with Santiago Velez, talking about enabling enterprise adoption of blockchain and how Overledger and interoperability enables that. So obviously everyone was in good spirits, the community was very excited. But one of our Quantviest members, and Quantvi, if you don't know, is whether if you're comfortable in quant, then you're Quantvi. It's a little bit cringe, but we embrace the cringe, we love that. And one of our own, he's been around for a long time, and he got caught up in a scam and lost his entire holdings of quant, which was a massive gut punch. So paint the picture, we had the price running up to all-time highs in anticipation for this interview with Gilbert that everyone was very excited for, and then this guy lost his entire quant holdings. So it really hit the community for six, and he got scammed as part of the Ledger scam, where the scammers sent out a fake email asking people to download an update, put in their information, and then they get scammed. Very unfortunate, very scummy, but there are scummy people in the world, right? Musk got caught up in that, lost his holdings, and obviously the community, when we heard about this, we was devastated for him. And he himself was extremely devastated, and obviously, rightly so. It was around $20,000 worth of quant. And so this is something that this is just a side note, but I'm keeping this free form, this discussion, this talk. I don't really like it when people say, how much quant do I need? How much quant do I need to make it, right? And when people will say like, oh, you need 20,000 quant, or you need 10,000 quant. No, you don't. And then it not annoys me, but I don't agree with it when people ask those questions, because the amount of quant that you need to make it depends on you and your lifestyle and your background, right? So someone might be poor and might only need 500 quant to really make a difference in their lives. And, in the future, 500 quant might be worth a lot of money. It might be worth upwards of $250,000 or $100,000. And if that makes a huge difference to someone's life, that's all they need. That's it. You don't need 20,000 quant. Obviously, we would all want that. But, you only need as much to make a difference to your life, right? So this was a huge amount of money to him. And it was his life savings. And to see that he got scammed out of that was just horrifying. And I as soon as it happened, a few of us in the community got together, we butted our heads together and decided that we had to do something about this and raise him some funds. So we did that. We started up a wallet, and we reached out to the community and asked if they would donate some crypto, donate some quant, whatever they could to help this guy, to try and raise him some quant, to get him back on his feet a little bit, to lift his spirits. And I was just kind of blown away by the community and their generosity. Within a couple of hours, we'd managed to raise the entire holdings back to him, $20,000. And there were some big donations. And to be fair, it doesn't matter that, whether you was the biggest donator or the smallest, if you only donated one quant, you gave up a part of your dream for someone who'd lost theirs. And I think that's truly incredible. And, I wouldn't have been able to sleep that night knowing that this guy had just completely lost his holdings. And I wanted to try and at least lift his spirits, and so did so many in the community. And I really want to applaud and say thanks to everyone who helped make that happen. It spread the word, or, donated crypto. It was amazing. It was simply amazing. And he was able to enjoy the interview, enjoy the all-time highs just like the rest of us. And that's, a real testament to the quant community. I'm so happy to be a part of it. A lot of people were happy for him, and that's really good to see. And a couple of websites even covered it, which was funny, that they covered this story, and that's hilarious, just for a whole different reason. And then we had the interview. So we had the interview with Gilbert and Santiago Velez on Real Vision. And Real Vision, if you don't know what Real Vision is, it's for the enterprise side, right? The traditional markets. And a lot of the greatest minds pay attention to Real Vision. And Raoul Pal's the CEO, and he's a very smart guy. And the traditional markets pay attention. They've just launched this crypto series, this crypto initiative, and the guys who are paying attention to this, they don't really understand about crypto. They don't know what interruptibility really is in terms of blockchain and DLTs and, you know, just cryptocurrencies in general. They're not clued up on it. So a lot of people were a bit upset that not a lot of new information came up from this interview. But I never really expected that. I kind of expected that Gilbert was going to not essentially dumb it down, but he was going to give a broad explanation for people who didn't really understand a lot about these technologies. You know, this is a new area. This is a new market that he was communicating to, and the market he would want to communicate to. And I think he did a great job. And there was some interesting tidbits, some interesting takeaways. Talked a lot about standards and their work with the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force. One of the quotes was, standards are going to enable the mass adoption of the mass implementation of blockchain because people can trust the technology. Once you have standards and interoperability, it's easy to interconnect and change technologies to be able to move, so it's easier to adopt. And he's right. You know, he made the ISO standard TC3007, and I think there's about 57 countries and organizations working together on this now. So he's the right guy to push this. And now he's doing work with MIT and the Internet Engineering Task Force with ODAP and this new internet protocol. And he's right. This is how you enable mass adoption. And I'll go a bit more into that later with a tweet. But I think he did a great job. And he even mentioned how previous approaches didn't work and why Overledger and this approach does work, with the example of Ripple. And I think it was around 2014, 2013. Ripple were working with Westpac and they were trying to implement their technology. They essentially needed Westpac to change their core infrastructure. And that was not the right approach. And I don't know whether that was just because of the time or the limits to the technology or what. But it was not the right approach. And that's why interoperability is needed with little overhead. And just, you know, 3 lines of code and you're ready to go. And that's what Overledger offers, and that's what's needed. These enterprise customers and these enterprise clients, they don't want to be bogged down and spending a lot of time implementing this and spending millions of dollars. They want something simple and fast and easy. And that's what Overledger offers, but it's extremely powerful. And I think what was funny for me, so Raoul Pal is a very smart guy, and a lot of people listen to him. But what was funny to me was that we had this interview, and Raoul and Santiago are very close. And Santiago's been interviewed by Raoul a few times on Real Vision. And literally, I think it was the next day after this interview, Raoul did another interview with I think it was The Block or someone. It was another company. And he was talking about interoperability and the infrastructure that needs to be built and central bank digital currencies. And it was exactly what Gilbert and Santiago had discussed the day before. So I know that Raoul was watching that interview. I know that he was interested. I know that he was blown away by it just from the fact that he was then going and telling the world about it the next day. And he didn't mention quant specifically, but it was easy to read between the lines with that. And this leads me to a tweet that I did. I think it was yesterday. It might have been today. Time's kind of a blur at the moment. Lockdowns and whatnot, COVID. But the tweet was, there is no doubt in my mind that quant will be a top 3 project. And we will see a minimum of 4-digit quant. So over $1,000 quant. And I said it when I first read of quant. I said it at its highs. I said it at its lows. And the part that I really wanted to hammer home was this last part, and this is the most important part to me. Without quant, there is no mass adoption of blockchain. And I truly believe that. I think operating in silos it's clearly not going to work. It didn't work with the internet. We needed TCP/IP, which funny enough, the Internet Engineering Task Force created and endorsed. And now Quant are working with them and MIT to create a new internet infrastructure. a new internet protocol, sorry. Interesting. But I truly believe that without quant, there is no mass adoption of blockchain. You need quant. You need this interconnectivity of blockchains and legacy systems. And there needs to be this operating system that enables everything to happen. And because of this any-to-any approach, I think it primes quant for a top 3 position in my eyes. And the minimum I've always aimed for is the market cap of Ripple right now, because I think quant, I'm not a Ripple hater. I know there are a lot of people who are, but I'm not. I don't hate Ripple. I think they have some interesting tech. I think Brad Garlinghouse is an interesting guy, and I like the technology. I'm just not a huge fan of the token, and I think that there's problems with the token and the way they've implemented it. But I will say that I haven't looked into it as much lately, so maybe they have changed things and maybe they're making more use of the token. I'm not plead ignorance and all that. But I think with quant, with the quant token being an integral part to Overledger, it's primed for a top 3 position. And I think the minimum that I would aim for is Ripple's market cap right now, which is around 10 billion, I think, $10 billion market cap. And I don't think that their peak market cap is unrealistic, which was around 120 billion, I believe. I don't think that's unrealistic. And I really do believe that quant, with what they have going on and their partnerships with SIA and Oracle, a lot of people are sleeping on Oracle. Oracle is used by most of the banks in the world, all the top banks. I mean, SEC did a tweet about this the other week. All the top banks use Oracle. Overledger has been implemented into their core infrastructure. They're offering Overledger to their clients. It's a huge deal. And SIA is a huge deal as well. SIA is a giant company working with 19 central banks. We can go into it all, but go look it up. They're huge. And not SIA Coin, which some people hilariously think that's who Quant are partnered with. It's not. It's SIA. SIA SPA. So Quant are working with some huge companies already. I don't even think we've seen the tip of the iceberg yet. I think there's so much more. And we've had little nuggets coming out with HSBC, the link in one of the latest ODAP papers with MIT. And now the US government are working on this IETF proposal. And I just think there's so much that we haven't seen yet. With the token being so integral, I can't see Quant not being worth a lot more than it is today. And with the Overledger network still in test phase, once we go live and the token's essential to all operations, I think we're going to see a real show. And Quant, they're in an amazing position, and they did all the work beforehand, before they went to market, before they pushed it. And the community might have forced their hand a little bit with their marketing and the time frame on them pushing this out, but I genuinely believe that Quant is a top 3 project. And this is just my opinion. This is not financial advice and all of that jazz, but I think that we're in for a real ride in the upcoming years. And I get asked a lot of questions about Quant and its price and what can it reach. I always have to give my opinion because I like giving my opinion to people who want it. And I got asked the question today: do I believe that Quant can reach 200 billion market cap? I do. And that may seem crazy to people who haven't looked into this project properly, but I do. That's a 4-digit quant right there. And I just think we're in a speculative market right now. The whole market is speculative right now, and there's a few outliers that are ushering in real adoption. I understand that, and they're projects that are doing well. But I think we're going to pivot to that sort of market. We're going to pivot to a market where we're going to see how real adoption works in a speculative market. And I think those projects are going to rise to the top very quickly. The narrative is going to change around whether projects are actually ushering in real adoption. And I think Quant is in the perfect position, and I think it will lead that charge. So it's been an interesting couple of weeks, the ups, the downs, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I'm probably going to do these a little bit more, just these free-form, open discussions, and hopefully you guys like it. Maybe treat it as a little bit of a weekly podcast, maybe. But that's it. So that's me. Until next time.